Ricky and I are completely ignorant of your sport, okay?
Right on.
I mean,
That's cool.
yeah, well, I don't know. It scares the hell out of us.
Yeah,
So,
because it's like, okay, we're going to come in sounding
yeah,
like a bunch of morons. Kinda,
right.
you know?
And the last thing we want to do is
No.
come in on our own show and sound stupid, you know? So,
No, not at all, man. You've got the probably the most ideal guest you could have to talk about foosball, man. I've been a pro player for almost a decade, and yeah, my whole life is completely submersed in competitive table soccer. So
that's pretty cool. Nice.
So, what's it like? I mean, I guess I'm going right into questioning, and I might honestly piece it together where it, transitions smooth, but what's that process like just going pro? I mean, are you just signing up for tournaments like in golf and you win enough? Is there some sort of level you have to reach in earnings? Like how does that all kind of play out?
yeah, so there's a professional tour, and basically most events are open to just anyone, really. Like, you guys off the street could come in and play tournaments, and eventually, if you win enough, you can gain enough points to become pro. I think it's like over like 3,500 points or something like that, which is quite a bit of points, considering like one tournament I could gain 100 points from doing pretty well.
Oh, geez. Wow.
So, I mean, like, what are the benefits then, I guess, to gaining enough points? I mean, obviously you're there to win, but like, is there some sort of added benefit once you reach pro status?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so foosball is really niche, first of all. It's a very small community. There's probably, I don't know, it's hard to put a number on it, but there's probably like maybe 10,000 players in the U.S., which is not a lot. There might even be less than that. Maybe 5 to 10. But yeah, like it's just a really obscure sport, right? Like it's not mainstream. It's very unique. It's very niche. Small community. I run to give you an example, I run the 2023 Michigan State Championships this year in October 13th through the 15th in Lansing. And that's a 10 grander, right? And that's like a state event, right? So it's not like a real big tournament, but it's like a state championships. So I'm going to be traveling to Denver next week for the $40,000 national championships. So to put it in perspective, like, that's a relatively large tournament. And then in September, I'm going to be traveling to Lexington, Kentucky for the World Championships. It's a $115,000 championship event. So 115 is like the total payout for the entire event, and there's like 10 to 20 events per tournament. So you've got your beginner rank, you've got your and the ranking system is it's not the best, right? Like, if you compare it to tennis or golf or something like that, sort of similar, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So beginner is like the entry level player, right? And then you've got rookie. So rookie in pro sports, rookie is like your first year as a pro. But in foosball, rookie is like your first year as like a new player, right? So like, he's a rookie, And then you've got amateur, you've got semi-pro, and then you've got pro. And then you have master. Mastered is like grand wizard level foosball player. So it's a really tough ranking to achieve, and such a small percentage of the players that compete actually become master. And I'm relatively close to being a master right now. I'm the number 2 ranked player in Michigan.
Okay, so based upon the point system, then I'm guessing is how you achieve the master status.
But I've been told that I'm like I think I'm the best player in Michigan. A lot of people think I'm probably the most skilled player. But skills don't always mean, championship wins, right? Like, you got to have discipline, you have to have structure, you have to have all these other elements to win championships. So it's not just about skill level, but I'm probably top 10 in the world if we're talking skill.
So how many players do you think there are in the world then? Or, I mean, you probably know how many players there are in the world.
I've been told that there is about 10,000 league players in Belgium alone.
Oh my
In
gosh.
Europe, foosball is a big time sport, right? Because you've got soccer, and soccer is so big in Europe. And so foosball naturally is much more known. It's much more popular. You walk into a rec center or a pub in Germany, and you're gonna see a foosball table. Whereas in America, or I guess in the United States, it's more seldom. You see it more in bowling alleys, and you see them at the bar too. But it's far in between, right? So it's not as popular here in the States.
Right, like an air hockey table, you're more than likely to see, or a pool table at a bar here.
Yeah, like you'll see billiards far more like frequently than you'll see foosball. So, but I'm hoping to change that, right? So like I am the spokesperson for Foosball Clubs USA Incorporated.
Now you're stealing
It's a
our questions
nonprofit.
here, Mike. I'm just kidding. I said you're stealing our
what's that?
questions here. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's Matt. My bad.
You're okay. No, good. You're a talker. We like that. That's good.
No,
Yeah,
continue. Go
I'm
ahead.
really passionate, man. I'm really into foosball. It's like it's different than most players. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and when it comes to my sport, I just think it's such a beautiful and profound sport that if I can share it with people, and I think a lot of people, they love foosball, they just don't know it yet. And so my goal is to bridge that gap, is to find ways to put foosball in front of someone who wouldn't have normally have played.
Now, how is your organization going about doing that?
Yeah, so Foosball Clubs USA, we are focused on the youth. So we've got school-based programs, and we're trying to get into the schools so that it can be like an activity, or it could be like a lunchtime thing, it could be an after school thing, or it can be part of the curriculum. Like it can be like a gym type of thing too, right? Because it's physical, it's very cerebral. You deal with angles and geometry when it comes to, it's just almost like pool, right? Like you're trying to get the right spin on things, and you're trying to get the right angle. Finesse plays a big part in it. Power, speed, strategy, like it's basically speed chess.
Okay.
On a table with rods and men. So
So how do you go about fundraising in order to be able to
Right.
put these foosball tables in the schools?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we're working on grants right now through Walmart and through McDonald's and through larger corporations that have a budget for these things, right?
Mhm.
And then we also have, private donors who believe in foosball, and they believe in the curriculum that we're pushing. And you can find that curriculum at foosballclubsusa.com. We've got a pretty descriptive program that goes into detail on how to get involved, how to apply it to your school, how to get foosball tables, the equipment, basically everything A to Z. We're trying to offer the community these opportunities so that they can get involved.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Mike, what does a season look like for foosball? Or is this like an all year round sport?
Yeah, so that's another good question. My season started in, I want to say it started in the end of January, or actually the end of February this year, because I started the season at the tour kickoff. So I think it was like a $30,000 regional event in Lexington, Kentucky. And these tournaments are held at like hotels and ballrooms, basically, right? So we've got like a 5,000 to 10,000 square foot ballroom with like anywhere from 30 to 100 foosball tables, registration booth, food concessions, you name it, we try to squeeze it in there. And the players book their rooms. Well, I won the points race. I was like top 3 in the points race for the pro division. And the playoff was at the tour kickoff. And I won that for the second year in a row, the pro singles USTSO playoff. So that was pretty cool. Started off the year pretty strong. to anticipate a question, the United States Table Soccer Organization, that's the USTSO. It's an organization put forward to promote the sport.
Okay, cool. So it goes from January. It starts in January. When does it go till?
It's all year round.
It's all year round. Then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we play tournaments 12 months a year. There's tournaments every weekend, every weekend across the U.S. And the world, right? So they just had a Garlando World Series event in I think it was in Poland. They just had it, or maybe it was in Austria. It was basically a world championship event, and so this is a rabbit hole. Just to forewarn you guys,
Right.
Let me kind of backpedal a little bit. So I competed in July last year. I went to the World Cup. It's the multi-table World Cup. It's basically our Olympics, right? So there's 5 to 6 recognized foosball table styles. Okay, so different playing surfaces, different size men, different size goals, different textured foosballs. And these tables are recognized by the ITSF, right? So the International Table Soccer Federation. Each country has a specific brand that they tend to play. So the U.S. loves to play tornado foosball. It's, the silver foosball table you might see with the black and yellow men, okay, and little pink ball. In Germany, they love to play on the Leonhardt. Okay, that's a different manufacturer. So these different countries, they play locally on their own table style. And then they eventually, if they qualify, they will play at the World Cup, the multi-table World Cup, where countries will play against each other on different table styles. So one match, like let's say the U.S. is playing Germany, right? So this actually happened in a semifinal at the World Cup. I ended up playing Germany, Team Germany, and we won I think like 40 to 32 or something like that. But one match is held on my table, and then one match is held on their table. And you've got a different lineup of singles and doubles. So it's pretty extensive. It's a little tough to follow just because it's so many moving parts. But, man, it is one of the most competitive things I've ever done in my life. We took second. So we lost to Austria in the finals, and they played on Garlando. So Garlando is a tough table to play on. So it really brings out the best in these players in the competitive spirit. Like it's a really tough sport when we're talking multi-table.
Okay, you're not kidding. We can go down a rabbit hole because I was going to ask.
Yeah.
What please explain all the different types of tables and stuff. Let me hold off on that question just for a second.
Yeah,
and
for sure. No problem.
Ask you the most layman's questions. Can you make a living off of this? Like, is there a population of people that
Travel
this is their day
around.
job? Yeah.
So there's a select couple guys that travel and they play competitively. The one person that comes to mind, his name is Tony Spredeman. He's the number 1 player in the U.S., and he actually just moved to Europe for different reasons. He's got more opportunity over there for foosball. I don't do it full time. I wish I did. I'm working on eventually, maybe help create an environment that can sustain professional foosball players, and they can just kind of make money playing foosball. But very few people make a living at this game. Right now anyway, but once we get bigger sponsors and awesome podcasts interested and just different people getting involved, that publicity, that exposure is going to be big for us.
Well, yeah, that's fair, and hopefully we can help you bring some legitimacy to it because I'll be honest, we're kind of cracking some jokes beforehand and like, man, really, we're doing this, and with all due respect, it's something that you take seriously, and it's a passion of yours. At one time, podcasting wasn't taken very seriously. So, and now there's people making millions of dollars off of it. We're not in that population ourselves, but so
someday.
Let's go back a little bit. Your dad is a champion as well. Can you talk about that a little bit? Talk about him and how he got you into it. Like, tell me your story.
Yeah, man. So I was born to play this game, unlike probably anyone else in the world ever. So maybe anyway. So my dad was a pro player in the 90s. Around that time, he met my mother. And, he would tour and play competitive tournaments and stuff like that. And locally in Michigan, he plays probably one of the better players. Well, my mom started playing too eventually. And she was actually 9 months pregnant for me when she and my dad won the open mixed event at the Michigan State Championships. So I was literally like in utero, like while they were playing their final, and they became state champions. And the mixed event is like when a man and a woman play together. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty cool to kind of be able to say like that was my first title at 9 months. She was super pregnant. Playing foosball at the state championships. But yeah, he played for a number of years, and I think he turned pro in the 90s. And so foosball has always been kind of like, it's been around, growing up. I really took to it maybe around 10 or 11 years old. And I was going through a lot of tough times, kind of developing into a young man. And the structure that foosball provided me was seriously groundbreaking in my development, and everything that I've got going on for me now, I owe to that.
Yeah, no, I was just going to cut you off and interrupt you for a second. You said in another like media release that it saved your life. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I ran with kind of a tough crew at a really young age. I was like smoking cigarettes at 11 years old, smoking marijuana way too young, and just getting to some other things and just not doing the right stuff. And the structure foosball presented me, it was, I had never experienced that before. And suddenly I had this thing that I really enjoyed doing, and man, I was really good at it too. Like I got really good pretty fast. And my dad essentially told me that, hey, you need to have good grades and not be truant. I was one of the most truant kids in my grade in 8th grade. So I went from being truant and troubled to underclassmen awards in 9th and 10th grade, and eventually becoming a world champion at 16.
Oh, wow. Now, I want to kind of go a little bit back. Your mom was pregnant with you when she won the championship. What is your mom's background in this? Your dad's a Hall of Famer, Michigan Hall of Famer. Does your mom have an extensive playing career, or was it just here and there sporadically? Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah. So my mom was not really like super into foosball at first. She just kind of started playing because my dad was really into it, and it was a big part of his life. So naturally, she was around it and eventually warmed up to it and became, she's a multi-state champion player. She won women's doubles the same year that she won mixed with my dad, and was said to be one of the better female players in Michigan during that decade. So eventually she warmed up to it, but she really only played in Michigan. She didn't really play out of the state too much. But I mean, my whole family plays. My sister is a national champion, a junior national champion foosball player. She actually made it onto the show called Figure It Out on Nickelodeon because they found out she was a junior national champion. She beat me in the finals when we were just, I don't know, maybe like 14 and 15 or something like that, 13 and 15. And they flew her out to California to be on Nickelodeon. And so foosball's always been a big family pastime for me, and my whole family plays.
Now you say that she beat you, so I'm taking that like it's more of an intramural type of thing where or is there separate, like women's brackets, men's brackets in these tournaments?
Yep. So there's women's and men's brackets, but there's also junior brackets, which so lately they recently, since we've had more junior players, they do junior like mixed, but they don't necessarily like do women's and men's for junior. So because there was never really like a ton of junior players. Mm-hmm. But at the national championships in St. Louis, she beat me for the winners bracket, and I was kind of ticked off. I was kind of heated. And then she beat me again in the finals, and she just played great. So, she's another foosball prodigy.
Mike, can you kind of explain? Is it Mike or Michael?
Yeah, Mike is good.
Okay.
I've been calling him Mike.
Well, Dickinson he's the one that kind of set us up with you. He said that one of you goes by Mike and the father goes by Michael, or vice versa. So I just wanted to, make sure we got the right designation. That's all.
No, that's cool. It's just one of those things. Like when we're in the same room, people call us by Mike and Michael. Like he's Mike technically. I always joke around and say, Mike is the guy that works long hours, right? Like I'm not Mike. But as I've grown older, that's changed. But so I'm good with whatever.
Okay. Cool. So Michael, explain the game to us a little bit. Like the only thing I know about foosball, honestly, is like you can't spin the the handles and stuff. Explain some of the semantics of the game. Is it a game to 21? Is it a game to 5? Is there a time limit on games? Are there certain rules that if I'm playing in a bar or an arcade that if I want to be like a professional, I should be abiding by those instead of just being a drunken fool and doing whatever I feel like doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd be more than happy to explain. So competitive table soccer demands that you don't spin the rods, right? So any revolution over 360 degrees is technically a spin. So you can flip the man around, but you can't let it go past 360 degrees, basically. Oh. So you can spin it, but it can't go a revolution past that. So to get real specific, spinning is illegal, but there are forms of spinning that aren't.
Well, how the hell is that measured?
Yeah, so it's basically like it's one of those things like they go by the honor system a lot, and like I've been playing so long, I know for sure what a spin looks like. And foosball just demands such attention to detail on the little things, right? And so the players are like all obsessive, right? You get so many cool characters. But I just can tell what a spin is generally just off like my experience. But there are refs. So if you call a ref to the table, they will, obviously make sure that everything is played fairly and that the rules are followed.
Okay.
And there are time limits as well. So when you put the ball into play, it's in the middle of the field on what's called your passing rod or your 5-bar. And you get 10 seconds there, and then 10 seconds to pass the ball to your shooting rod. And then on your shooting rod, you've got about 15 seconds. So, I mean, that's a lot of time, honestly. So you can kind of like sit there and take looks and then maybe move the ball around a little bit to see what the defense is giving you. It's a very offensive game. So.
Okay. That's cool.
Now, Michael, where can people go to follow you or to follow the sport itself? Are they out there on Twitter? You know what I mean? Like the federation,
yeah.
Are they posting stuff about tournaments? Or like, how can people follow the sport?
Yeah, so I personally have my personal Facebook page just under my name, Michael Stahl. You can follow me, and I post all things about the sport. You can go check out Foosball Clubs USA on Facebook, or you can go to the website. You can go to ifptour.com. That IFP is basically our professional foosball tour. We've got House of Tournaments, which is another software, different type of tour. You got different promoters doing different things. You can check out Foosball Sports Network on Twitch. You can go to the United States Table Soccer Organization, USTSO.org, I think it is. There's a lot of different places to go. You could just Google it and just go wild with that too, you know.
Follow the rabbit hole.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different places to check it out. I recommend Foosball Sports Network on Twitch. It's a good way to kind of check out the game and just observe it, right? I mean, it's streamed live on Twitch. Big events are going to be on Twitch. I'm having them come and stream my personal state championships. So
cool, awesome. What's the next event we can catch you at, or we can promote for you?
Yeah, so next week I'm driving down to Denver for the national championships. I'll be playing the main event, the open doubles event, with Ron Olson. He's the number 1 player in the state, so I'll be playing with him. The number 1 and 2 in Michigan, gonna go make some noise. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm also playing the pro event with Mike Wayrowski. He's a pro player in Michigan as well, top 10 guy. You know, so that's going to be my next one, but I'm always just trying to promote and push the sport. I do little events all the time. I do fundraising events where I'll just set up a foosball table and we'll do like a Beat the Pro for like Relay for Life, or, you know, for Children's Miracle Network. I just partnered with Walmart a couple weeks ago and we raised some money for Children's Miracle Network. So yeah, just you name it, man. We're there doing it.
Awesome. Michael, thanks for your time. Is there anything else you'd like to promote or touch on that we haven't discussed yet?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you guys as well. You know, I think this sport is one that's about to take off.